Welcome to ET Live. We are here today with Drake Bell. Welcome.
Thank you. How's it going?
Seems like Drake Bell might have really done it this time.
I'm sure you all know about the Drake Bell situation that occurred earlier this year.
Messages between them were extremely inappropriate.
Charged with a criminal conviction involving a minor.
I want you to imagine for a second you're a star in Hollywood. Not like a literal one, a famous one. Picture you at your pinnacle, the top of your game, being interviewed for your next big budget movie, your name up in lights, catching check after check. The world knows your name and you're at the peak of your career. The end is nowhere in sight, right? But a peak also implies a bottom, and an inevitable downfall that will either result in your well-deserved fulfilling retirement from acting, or a painful, desperate quest to maintain relevance as you struggle to pay off your 4 McMansions, slowly but surely falling under the category of washed-up superstar. What actually happens to these once beloved entertainers after their careers are dead and buried? Unfortunately, some file for bankruptcy and have their houses foreclosed, while others may pursue a career elsewhere in music. Hell, some even resort to shilling NFTs to their remaining fans on Twitter. But I'm actually here to discuss someone who's done all of that, in addition to pleading guilty to perturbing crimes regarding children, because of course. Join me as we cover the fleeting highs and categorical lows of a man whose pinnacle may always remain in the past, Drake Bell.
Because this year, Drake Bell, as I said, was charged with child endangerment.
Accused him of grooming her since she was 12 years old.
That Drake Bell has been trying to intimidate me.
You are a 31-year-old man, and I think you are a lying predator.
We're hearing, excuse me, case number 659324.
Jared Drake Bell, that's right, his first name isn't even Drake, which is annoying, was born on June 27th, 1986, in Newport Beach, California, to Robin Dodson and Robert Bell, who divorced by the time their son was 5 years old. Growing up in Orange County, Drake enjoyed skateboarding and attending punk rock concerts, not unlike the ones he'd cancel after pleading guilty to child endangerment. Are you kidding? I'm not kidding. This guy's a creep. But at 5 years old, he still had his whole future ahead of him, with his dad picking up on Drake's natural confidence through his impersonations of people on TV. He eventually began taking his son to casting calls. After landing a few commercials here and there, Drake was actually cast in an episode of Home Improvement and the 1996 film Jerry Maguire. Speaking of Jerry, he even ended up on an episode of Seinfeld in the late 90s. Guessing that's where he got girl advice too. Sorry, I'll stop. It's too easy. After gaining some pretty impressive notoriety over the next few years, Jared Drake Bell would finally make his Nickelodeon debut as a featured performer on The Amanda Show in the early 2000s. After its sudden ending in 2002, when Amanda Bynes chose to walk away from the show, Drake wasn't about to be cast aside. In fact, his pinnacle was just up ahead.
Hug me, brother!
In 2003, Nickelodeon launched Drake and Josh, the hit show that would break records for the network and to become a huge piece of all of our childhoods. Well, not mine, because I grew up in a sheltered home where live-action sitcoms were the devil, but between 04 and 07, Drake and Josh managed to consistently rank amongst the top-watched cable programs each week. With all 56 episodes drawing an average of about 3 million viewers, it was deemed the most successful show in Nickelodeon history up until that point. I was born in '99, and everybody I knew as a kid watched it religiously, being the top-rated show for ages 2 to 11. Even as someone who never saw much of it growing up, it was still somewhat of a staple in my adolescence, just by how iconic it was.
Hysterical!
Everybody knew who Drake and Josh were. But as the show grew older, so did the actors. And before long, it was clear to Danny Boy that the program had run its course, leaving the cast free to go their separate ways in 2007. Miranda Cosgrove starred in iCarly. Josh went to hang out with David Dobrik for some reason.
Do you think your wife would have still married you if you were like old fat Josh?
And Drake set his sights for a future in music. After just signing with Universal Motown and releasing 2 studio albums by 2006, along with dropping $2 million on a brand new mansion, what could possibly go wrong for the biggest teen actor on the scene? Well, a lot, actually. Despite making his return to the big screen in 2008 with the parody film A Superhero Movie, holy hell, half a star. I like how this guy came back to edit his review 12 years after writing it. He was just so pissed. But at least this thing made money. Unlike College, another film Drake starred in that tanked so hard it couldn't even match its already criminally low budget. Nice. But not everything was a failure. It was around this time he was tapped to play Timmy Turner in the live-action Fairly Odd Parents, a movie about a boy who refuses to accept he's growing up. Where have I heard that one before? I can't put my finger on it. Why the f did they make 3 of these? Was the demand really that high? But other than voicing Spider-Man in a 2012 animated series and making a few guest appearances here and there, he also collabed with Shane Dawson, just of all people, man. Of course, Shane, of course.
Oh my god, you guys, guess who I have with me right now in my room? Drake Bell! Shane on Monday.
To see Drake go from dominating airwaves with Drake and Josh to then being sued by his own record producer for an EP they made together was pretty hard for fans to watch. Getting his first taste of legal trouble when producer and also manager of Selena Gomez, John Fields, reportedly sued for 5 figures after several songs they made together failed to reach his EP, a reminder. Honestly, it's been a while since Drake Bell has had a big hit in the US. But that could still change, since I hear the acoustics of a jail cell make for a good recording studio. For legal reasons, this is a joke, as I would never insinuate or allege that Mr. Bell is responsible for anything more than what he has been found guilty of in a court of law. Everything else mentioned in this video should be treated purely as an allegation and nothing more. Despite failing to reach much success in the States, his music was doing well in Mexico, something we'll get to in a little bit. But as far as his ability to attain any recognition in his own country, his efforts were falling flat, as it became increasingly clear that the apex of his career was in the rearview mirror with his old show. And that's when things really got bad.
Actor and musician Drake Bell has been formally charged with a DUI and could face jail time.
I guess Drake must have spent everything he had on that lawsuit since he filed for bankruptcy and thus had his 3,400 square foot home taken away just that next year, reportedly making $2 grand a month, which wasn't enough to pay for his usual 18 grand in monthly expenses. As Drake continued to spiral in front of the public eye, he was eventually arrested and convicted of a DUI, his second one since 2009. Not to mention a weirdly public beef with TV brother Josh Peck. I guess he got a little butthurt after not being invited to Josh's wedding, but later comments from Peck seemed to imply the two just weren't as close anymore, making Bell's tweets even stranger. Later feuding with Michael Jackson's 15-year-old daughter over Justin Bieber. I don't know, man. I think I may have dug a little too deep and found a time he was being transphobic towards Caitlyn Jenner, only to be dunked on by Onision. Yeah, you heard that right. You know you f***ed up when even Onision is calling you a bad person. Just this personified. Bottom line was, Drake's reputation at this time was faltering, but unfortunately for him, things were just about to get even worse.
You understand, if you plead guilty, that is an admission by you that you did these crimes?
Yes, Your Honor.
Having said that, how do you plead to count 1? Attempted endangering children, felony of the 4th degree.
Guilty.
How do you plead to count 2? Disseminating matter harmful to juveniles, 1st degree misdemeanor.
Guilty.
But first, I want to give a huge thanks to today's sponsor, Raycon. If you haven't noticed, I haven't been able to monetize my videos in years. But luckily, Ray J and his wonderful team have come through for me, not just financially, but with their nice, nifty, sleek, discreet Raycon earbuds. These things come equipped with an impressive 32-hour battery life, seamless Bluetooth pairing, built-in microphone, and a variety of comfy gel tips that don't stick out of your ears. Personally, I've been using them a lot to listen to my favorite music as I edit this video. Starting at half the price of any other premium wireless brands, and coming in an array of stylish colors, Raycons are the perfect fit for anyone on your holiday shopping list. And with free shipping and returns, you'd be helping out the channel and still be able to get your money back if they just aren't for you. Go to buyraycon.com/Jobbery right now and use code HOLIDAY to get 15% off your order, or click the link in the description box below. Again, that's buyraycon.com/Jobbery. Be sure to use code HOLIDAY. Massive thanks again to Ray J personally for helping out with these videos.
Like, I have a much bigger fan base in like Latin America, for example.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't get it.
That's dope. I wouldn't know. Guess.
I had a big record out there a couple years ago, and
as mentioned earlier, Drake Bell's music wasn't doing quite as good in the US as it was down south in Mexico, where for some reason a multitude of his albums were circulating in the top 10, with one single, I Know, reaching the #1 spot. At that point, it was clear to the struggling actor what he needed to do. Change his name to Drake Campana, which is hilariously just Bell in Spanish. This man just plugged his name into Google Translate and made it his whole persona. I have to respect it. Although he now claims to have never moved to Mexico, this didn't stop him from alluding to a Latin lifestyle via Instagram.
I didn't change my name, although I love and would love to. I've never moved to Mexico. I've never been a resident or a citizen of Mexico. I don't have a Mexican passport.
It's a bit confusing there. If he never actually made the move to Mexico, why did he go ahead and post this? I mean, what even is this? If it's not a passport or an ID, it genuinely just confuses me. I have no idea what's going on. But I'm not alone. Seeing that Twitter had a field day upon learning about his rebrand to Drake Campana, which sounds like an SNL sketch.
Me gusta mucho, gracias.
¿Cómo va tu español, Drake? Más o menos. You said that all the social media is gonna be in Spanish, right? Dice, mis redes sociales ahora solo estarán en español, no más inglés.
At the end of the day, my man pulled a Bart Baker. And if it was done purely for money and to assist a dying career, I guess I couldn't knock it. Only personally, I'm not convinced there wasn't a more nefarious reason behind the sudden brand switch. And by April 2020, assumptions started to be made about Drake's jump to a new demographic.
Melissa Lingefeld, the 30-year-old artist who goes by the name Jimmy Ono on TikTok, accused the 34-year-old actor of verbal and physical abuse in a video shared on the platform Wednesday, August 12th.
August 2020, Drake Bell was accused by his ex-girlfriend Melissa Lingefeld of pretty horrific emotional and physical abuse. Speaking out on her TikTok, Lingefeld, who goes by the stage name Jimmy Ono, dated Bell in 2006 for around 2 years, starting her video by saying,
I don't really care if anyone believes me, as this is my story in my life and something that I went through. It wasn't until recently that I actually realized that abuse isn't something that all women have to go through. When I started dating Drake, I was 16. I was homeschooled, I moved in with him, I was singing. It wasn't until about a year when the verbal abuse started.
As the actress went on to explain that she and Drake had begun dating when she was 16 and homeschooling at the time. He was 20, by the way. She continued to describe his purported abuse as, imagine the worst type of verbal abuse, and that was what I got.
It then turned into physical, hitting, throwing, everything. At the pinnacle of it, he dragged me down the stairs of our house in Los Feliz. My face hit every step on the way down.
After recalling a time he allegedly pulled her down the stairs of the home that was later foreclosed, she not only cites this 2009 police report of when he allegedly threatened her over the phone, but also this journal of hers from 07 to 08, which goes on to say, quote, I don't even know how it escalated to such an event. To get to the bottom of it, he pretty much kicked me, choked me, slapped me. Molly called the cops and we spent the night at her place. My whole body was just aching. I passed out around 11, completely completely worn. It felt nice to get away from Drake. I think the only thing I got from this relationship is really tough skin, literally and figuratively," the entry states. Melissa then raises eyebrows again by alleging there were children he had harmed in addition to her.
I don't even want to get into the underage girls thing. I mean, I will, but I'm scared.
Melissa was subsequently supported by several women who came forward and reached out privately after the fact. One girl claiming to have dated Drake for several years while he was filming the show, stating that she didn't have any voicemails or text receipts on account of Drake breaking every phone she had back then. She wishes she had more evidence, but claimed to have multiple friends and witnesses to attest to what she experienced, going so far as to call him a narcissistic sociopath. With another woman by the name of Peyton Lane also coming to Melissa in private, as it's been proven she dated Drake 5 years after her, making it clear to Melissa that she would back her up going forward, and providing this email she wrote to Bell back in 2012 that seems to reinforce the claim of verbal abuse. To me, it's very telling that these women reached out to Melissa privately, making it hard for anyone to make the tired argument that they're doing it for attention. Nobody wants attention from abuse, Melissa later stated. I hope this gives girls the strength to come out about their experiences with him, because I know for a fact he has hundreds of victims. Peyton continued chatting with Melissa as the two bonded over their shared relationships with Bell, citing Melissa for being one of the reasons she kept pushing forward even as the verbal abuse continued. In my opinion, these messages only show how affected these women were, and I only hope they're in a better place now that they're away from Drake and their testimonies are finally known. Of course, it should go without saying that Drake Bell has denied every allegation made at the time, and that according to people, quote, "never abused my ex-girlfriend or did so many of the other things Melissa falsely claimed on her TikTok video." In one of the TikToks shared by Melissa, two anonymous parties reached out to allege he had sex with their friend when they were 15 and he was 20. Although I'm not sure if these are about the same person, one anonymous account told Melissa, "I remember you speaking on the phone to my friend after it happened, and you told her he choked you and spit in your face," which was said to have been in 2006. A timeline that adds up when you consider Melissa and Drake dated from August 2006 to February 2009. This is the girl he cheated on me with and took her virginity, right? Just absolutely downright sickening conversations, but it's an important talk to be had, considering these are all highly serious allegations against the actor who has always maintained innocence, at least as far as these claims go. Personally speaking, I don't view Drake as a very reputable person, even down to his shady NFT dealings, which we'll cover in a second.
So imagine like if you're playing Fortnite, right?
But by late 2020, Drake's career continued to spiral out of control. Plagued by a multitude of allegations, it was only a matter of time before the law caught up with him.
Josh! Oh, you're gonna regret this, Josh! You need me! You need me!
I was definitely one of his biggest fans. Everyone who knew me as a child knew that he was a hero to me. When I was 11, I learned that my aunt had a mutual friend who knew the defendant. That led to my aunt taking me to meet him for the first time in 2014 when I was 12. I adored him, and he instantly made me feel that he adored me right back. From the time I was 12 to 15, my aunt took me to meet him and spend time with him many times. I went to him for advice and for someone to lean on, and he gave me that. When I was 13, I went to him for boy advice. He told me that I was beautiful and that boys were stupid. He then sent me a photo of myself that he had screen capped from my Instagram, telling me that I was, quote, such a cutie. Another instance of creepy behavior happened when I was spending time with him at the age of 14. He said that I wasn't little anymore, and I was, quote, a woman now. At 15, he started sending me messages about how, quote, hot I was. In the summer of 2017, I messaged him, telling him that I was going to see him in concert in the following months. He replied by telling me that he couldn't wait to see me. He also asked me, quote, how old are you now? I told him 15. He then told me to, quote, hurry up, don't smile at me.
In July 2021, 35-year-old Drake Bell was charged with disseminating harmful matter to juveniles and attempted child endangerment, according to public court records. As the victim, now 19, sat in court and alleged that Drake Bell had engaged in sexual misconduct with her, including once in a hotel room and a 2017 concert in Cleveland. She was only 15 at the time, while Drake would have been in his early 30s. Sort of an age gap we've seen before, right? But I do have to clarify here, just so I don't get hit with slander, that Bell did not plead guilty to everything she accused him of. He only pleaded guilty to disseminating harmful material, or in this case, sexting a 15-year-old, to which he labeled reckless and irresponsible, while maintaining the outlandish notion that he was unaware of her age, and the contact stopped upon finding that out.
Drake's made this wonderful claim that he actually did not know her age, and a lot of that statement very much confuses me. How would you get this person's number if you haven't met them? The only thing I can say is you probably responded to a DM of hers on social media. You most likely saw her face on her social media profile.
Pretty sure it's easy for anyone with functioning corneas to differentiate between legal adults and children. There is a difference, believe it or not, Drake. A girl who can consent actually looks a lot different and a lot older than someone who's still young enough for Girl Scouts. I responded to a fan whose age I didn't know yet. When I became aware of their age, all conversation and communication stopped, he said. This individual continued to come to shows and pay for meet and greets, all while I was unaware that this was the same person I was communicating with online. And that's what I pled guilty to. According to American law, they never did anything in person. According to American law, which we all know to be a flawless justice system. According to USA Today, the victim claimed to have been groomed by Bell from the time she was 12. She said she initially felt loved and protected by him during online chats, and that his messages became blatantly sexual after she turned 15. She said his remarks made her feel uncomfortable, but she felt trapped because she idolized Bell, probably on account of being way too young to consent, right? But regardless, Bell's attorney wanted to make it clear that there were no explicit photos or sexual contact between Bell and the victim, and the inappropriate conduct that did occur were reflected in the charges Bell pleaded to, which is pretty confusing language considering he pled guilty to attempted child endangerment and a misdemeanor charge of disseminating harmful matter to juveniles. Not sure how that makes him any less of a creep. I guess it's not like he sent an EDP style pic, but that doesn't exactly make you innocent either. Although some of the things alleged by his victim couldn't be proven in court, the fact remains that he pleaded guilty to sexting a girl 15 years his junior. So to me, the things she said really aren't that outside the realm of possibility.
Aside from Cleveland, the only other time that the defendant sexually assaulted me was in October of 2017. It happened in Illinois in the middle of the night. He digitally penetrated me in the back seat of my aunt's car while she was driving him to a friend's house. The Illinois police only agreed to move forward with that case if the Ohio police did not pursue this case. I don't understand why. Regardless of their reasons why, he has gotten away with sexually assaulting me in Illinois.
After being sentenced to 2 years probation and 200 hours of community service by the state of Ohio, Drake Bell took to the internet once more, this time with a pretty half-baked non-apology statement to his audience, I guess attempting to clear up any misconceptions, but he didn't really do that, ultimately just showing us his shitty pink and blue house interior and told the audience, well, come to your own conclusions.
I'm Drake Bell, not Drake Campana. Soy Drake Bell, no soy Drake Campana. A lot of the news that you've been hearing, well, most of the news that you've heard recently is entirely false and wrong. I didn't get arrested, I didn't go to jail, and it's not me telling you that the claims are false, but the state of Ohio has proven the claims to be false. If these claims were remotely true, my situation would be very different. I would not be here at home with my wife and my son. But that being said, I'm not perfect. I made mistakes. I responded to a fan whose age I didn't know. Yet when I became aware of their age, all conversation and communication stopped. And this individual continued to come to shows and pay for meet and greets, and all while I was unaware that this was the same person I was communicating with online. And that's what I pled guilty to. Don't believe the media right off the bat. It's a lot of clickbait. Do your own research and come to your own conclusions.
Great. The language of an innocent man right there.
I love his explanation. Don't worry, I didn't send dick pics, but I did send sexually explicit text messages. Yeah, those pink and blue walls are rough. 100%. His house is a gender reveal party.
In the months following his sentencing, Drake Bell has actually done the exact opposite of what I figured he'd do.
And he sent this message writing, "Would you mind if you and I had a conversation?" Which I'm all about a conversation. "If you are in LA, I would love to meet you in person." He decides to go and figure out personal information about myself. I receive this text message. For whatever reason, Drake Bell, I guess, isn't busy being a father or a husband. He's busy going out and trying to figure out my name and my phone number so that he can go and text me. The fact that he's going out of his way to go and get my number makes me worried about my safety.
Rather than escaping to his mansion to live in solitude for the rest of his life, sort of pulling a Kevin Spacey and revealing a completely unrelated, intimate detail of his life that he had been married with a son, in an attempt to sweep the negative press under the rug, I guess. But sadly, it hasn't worked. With co-star Josh Peck even coming out to express disappointment in his former TV brother, the inevitable decay of Drake Bell has been pretty sad for everyone to witness, and I can't even imagine what it must be like for the women at the center of it all. Since them coming forward, Drake's alleged history of abuse has and will remain a blot on his legacy moving forward. With nothing else left to do in the public eye rather than make Latin music for an audience who isn't familiar with American news headlines, and I guess shill NFTs to his remaining following on Twitter. Because of course, he does that too.
Metamons dropping in 6 hours. For the past several months, he's been doing this.
When he lied about paid promotion he did for some shitty Zoophile art. And for what, only $1,000?
Yes, he gave me 2 keys and I used the ETH to mint more. Now again, this is different from what he first told me, which is all I got was free NFTs. However, when we look up the 3rd key, he also paid 0. So he's just lying. Dude, it's just lie after lie after lie. It's like, just say like, yeah, I showed it. They paid me $1,000. I didn't say ad, I'm sorry. Instead, he's like, what? No, I didn't do it.
That Nickelodeon money must have dried up real fast. It's hard to say where Drake Bell will end up in the future. While with his cataclysmic demise tainting his reputation for good, it's only become more evident that the peak of his career remains forever in the past. Or honestly, it could just be Megan behind everything.
Keep on, keep running.